Hey guys, Phil from Trail Talk MTB here, and for this month's Gear of the Month, we're looking at the Canyon Eject Hydration System, the Yi 4K Plus, and the Fox Proframe. So as you know, I'm a pretty huge advocate for ditching the hydration pack for those 2-hour rides, and that usually requires around about a litre of water. When I got my Bird AM9, I figured that I couldn't fit a normal water bottle in the frame, so I had to find something that could fit around about a litre of water. I searched high and low, and I found the Canyon Eject Hydration System. So the system consists of 2 proprietary water bottles, and also a custom bottle cage where the bottles sit next to each other in the cage. So the bottles clip in at the top, and then there's a little dimple at the bottom of the water bottles that fits into the cage, and that's what holds them in place. A big concern when it comes to these kind of clip-in systems is that they wear over time, but in my experience over the past 6 months I've used the system, it hasn't weakened anymore, and the engagement at the top still clips in just as good as it did in the first try. So the bottles say that they each hold 400 milliliters each. However, I've managed to squeeze 425 milliliters out of both of them, which equates to a total of 900 millimeters between the both of them. Another big plus with the bottles is that they're BPA free, so any of those health conscious people out there, that's good to know. Another benefit of having 2 bottles is that you can put electrolyte mix in one and then just regular water in the other, so you can kind of optimize your hydration with this system. So with both these bottles, I usually find that I'm pretty good for around about 90 minutes to 2-hour ride. However, if you do want a little bit more and you don't want to carry a water bottle, then I suggest getting one of the quick stow flasks, so one of those from Camelback, or there's another flask you can get from Osprey, those kind of water bottles, and you can just stash one of those in your pocket and then you're good for around about 3 hours. Another feature of the bottle cage is that you can store a pump on the top of it, and they come with 2 little rubber O-rings that you can use to strap around. I found using a Velcro strap's probably a little bit better. It's easy to undo them and you're not going to lose them as easily. And you can also get a bit creative, so you can tape a few other things on top of it if you're using a Velcro strap. So let's talk about some of the limitations of the system. So it is a proprietary system, so if you do lose a water bottle or anything like that, you're going to have to buy it from Canyon. In my experience, I haven't lost any and it hasn't unclipped, but when I did purchase the water bottles, I did get one extra just in case. Another downside is that shipping costs with Canyon are pretty damn expensive. So I was lucky enough that I had a friend getting a bike and he was able to add this onto his cart when he was ordering the stuff. However, ordering these one-off, shipping can cost as much as $50, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, if you definitely want to order one, see if someone else is getting anything, or possibly try and negotiate a better shipping cost, because for me that just seems a bit crazy for something so small. Other than those downsides, it's a pretty great system and it's been vital for me on my bike. I just haven't been able to fit anything else, and it's a great way to carry almost a litre of water on your bike and then also add some tools on top of it. So great system and pretty versatile as well. So now for an action camera that's way above its weight and it's also great value, the Yi 4K Plus. So the Yi 4K came out as a direct competitor for the Hero 6 Black, and it was kind of in that race to kind of hit 4K 60 frames per second. So now that the Hero 7's come out, you can actually find this camera for an absolute steal. So they're around about $200 to $250 depending on where you're looking. So the image quality is pretty damn close to the top of the line GoPros, to the Hero 6 and the Hero 7 Black. It provides kind of a flatter profile, so more natural colors, as opposed to the GoPro that tends to be a little bit more saturated. So if you prefer that flatter profile and you do a lot of post-production with your images and all that kind of stuff like that, a bit of color correction, then the Yi 4K Plus would probably be up your alley. So like the GoPro, it provides all the features that you want, so photo, burst mode, time-lapse, image stabilization, all the stuff that you can think of with a modern action camera, it's got all of it. It's also pretty user-friendly, so it can be controlled entirely from the app, and then there's also a touch screen on the back of it, so really handy, really clear, easy to use, and then it's also got voice control, so you can turn the camera on and off, record and all that kind of stuff just with your voice. So the main question you want to know is, how does it perform mountain biking? Pretty damn good. It works best on the chin bar, so kind of the mid-trail mounted mount where you mount it on the bottom of your full face helmet. That's definitely where I've had the best results. On a chest mount, I didn't find that it was as good as, say, the Hero 6 or the Hero 7 Black. The image stabilization is good, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the Hero 6, and the Hero 7 Black's kind of in a whole new league in terms of image stabilization, and it works pretty good on a chest mount, but there's never going to be a good replace for a gimbal on a chest mount. Another reason why it doesn't work as well on a chest mount is because the field of view is probably a little bit smaller than the GoPro. So with the GoPro, you get the super view mode, so really ultra wide angle. You do get an ultra wide version on the Yi 4K Plus. However, you can't use image stabilization on that system, on that mode. So when using the image stabilization, you've only got the wide mode. So it's kind of cropping that ultra wide version down to the just normal wide version. With the super view, it just crops it a bit differently. I don't know what it is, but the field of view is just way bigger on the GoPro. I'll show you a few examples now. However, if you do prefer the ultra wide view, I was still able to use the ultra wide version of this on the chin bar without the stabilization and still get pretty good results. So I'll show you that now. So how does it sound? Well, really good actually. So it's similar to the Hero 4 in terms of audio quality. So most people that do want good audio quality still kind of stick with the Hero 4 with a gimbal, and you could use this on a gimbal as well. So it should sound pretty good. If you're able to get microphone covers for the microphone and then use one of the exoskeleton cases, so just the external ones, not the waterproof ones, you should be able to get some really good audio quality out of this thing. In my experience, I just had the waterproof case and I drilled some holes into it and then put microphone covers over those, and I got some pretty good results as well, but nothing's going to be as good as, say, that exoskeleton case. So let's talk about the settings that I used. It's really important to get some decent settings if you're going to be using this thing for mountain biking. So my go-to settings were 4K 30 frames per second, wide angle, metering on average, image quality on high, white balance on daylight, color, just Yi color, shutter was on auto, ISO was on max 400, and then the EV was on minus 0.5, and then stabilization on. So with all that being said, I think the Yi 4K Plus is a great camera, and if your budget's kind of around $200, $250, I think it's a great option. If you're going to be chest mounting it, then I definitely recommend getting a gimbal, and you should be able to get some pretty decent results using the extra wide setting without any image stabilization. However, if you're going to be chest mounting without a gimbal and you do want that kind of ultra smooth image, I think the Hero 7 Black's a great option, but you're going to be paying almost double the price. So if your budget's around $200, $250, I think the Yi 4K Plus is a great option. So now let's look at the Fox Proframe. So it's been over a year with my Fox Proframe, and it's definitely being used now more than ever. It's a really great helmet. On the market at the moment, I definitely think that the Fox Proframe probably is the best kind of more enduro style full face helmet out there. So I'm a big fan of a proper full face helmet as opposed to a helmet with a removable chin bar. I feel like those helmets, there's always a compromise, and they want to stay comfortable when they're kind of in that open shell mode. But when you've got the chin bar on, you still feel like you're kind of wearing a trail helmet. You don't kind of have that security of what a proper full face helmet feels like. So my helmet's a size medium, and with my camera mounting gear on the front, it weighs around about 800 grams. So pretty light for these kind of full face helmets. When it comes to fit, it's always going to be something that's very personal, so I can't really comment too much on that. But for my head, the helmet fits really well for the size medium, and I've got kind of a 57 centimeter size head. So it feels pretty good in my experience, and there is a bunch of different pads. So if you want to swap over thicker slightly somewhere else or make them all a bit thicker or a bit thinner or something like that, you can really dial in your fit. So compared to the other kind of enduro style full face helmets on the market, the Fox Proframe definitely feels the most like a full face helmet, so it's definitely got that more secure feeling. Say compared to the Met Parachute, you definitely feel like that's more of a trail helmet. It's got the kind of adjustment at the back to kind of dial in the fit. It doesn't feel as substantial as the Fox Proframe. And then the Trolley Stage fits pretty well as well, so that's a good helmet in that regards, but you definitely feel like it is, again, more of a trail kind of style helmet, and you definitely feel like it isn't as substantial, so can't really judge too much on impacts and stuff like that because I haven't crashed in either of them, but the Fox Proframe definitely feels like a more substantial helmet, and it is kind of 50 or 100 grams heavier than those other two, so you kind of get that in that sense, but it still feels plenty light, and there's plenty of ventilation as well, so you've got these big vents at the front, and the air flows right through channels at the top and then exits out the vents at the back. So you've got pretty great ventilation. It's really similar to the Fox Flux, so similar kind of ventilation design on the trail lid. So some other features on the helmet, it's got MIPS, so that's good to see as well. The studies seem to show that works, and I'm not going to really argue with those, and it can't hurt having it on the helmet. And then it's also got a fidlock buckle as well, so really easy to do and undo that buckle. So if you do a lot of enduro racing and you hit the bike park maybe a few times a year, I definitely feel like the Fox Proframe's a great option, and it offers a bucket load of protection at a pretty light weight, so you can definitely ride all day in this thing. However, if you do spend most of your time in the bike park and you do downhill racing, I definitely feel like a full dedicated proper full helmet would be the way to go. So something that weighs probably 300-400 grams more than that, a full downhill helmet. Even though this is downhill rated, you can definitely feel that it's not as substantial as those helmets, but when it comes to these kind of more enduro style helmets, it probably offers the best protection out of those. So that wraps up this month's Gear of the Month. If you had any questions on any of the products, just leave a comment below and I'll be able to answer them for you. Don't forget to drop a like, also subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty of reviews coming up in the future, big things coming as well. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.